A very good evening and welcome to Beyond the Headline. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. It's no secret that access and quality of healthcare you receive in India is largely and directly proportional to how rich or influential you are. But to codify this VIP healthcare in India's most prestigious medical center crossed every possible line. Within 24 hours of news breaking that AIIMS was formulating special rules for MPs, including round-the-clock emergency services, special landline numbers, and a special coordinator for all the needs of MPs, they've had to withdraw it. Protests from doctors' associations and, of course, the media like us highlighting this may have prodded AIIMS to withdraw the order. But is it really enough? Let me first begin by telling you what the order was. Round-the-clock doctors available in the control room for OPD, emergency consultation and inpatient hospitalization. All patients referred to by MPs would also get VIP treatment. A nodal officer will coordinate all arrangements for MPs. There will be special numbers just for MPs to contact officials and doctors from AIIMS, and that list goes on. It's not clear what possessed AIIMS to offer this VIP treatment. One can only assume that after the furore, better sense prevailed. But the question we're asking is, just because the circular has been withdrawn, does the VIP treatment actually end? The COVID pandemic exposed the ugly side of how sifarish and connections helped save lives of those who have more means than those who don't. It's no surprise that VIP culture is promoted when we have 1.4 beds per 1,000 people. There is one doctor per 1,445 people in this country. Moreover, medical expenses often cripple families. About 48% of total health expenses are out of pocket. That means borne by the individual and the family. This is much higher than global standards, which is 18%. So basically, to sum up, fewer beds, fewer doctors, more expenses out of pocket because less insurance available, more dependence on private hospitals, and then there is VIP treatment for some. Can the reversal of one bad decision help this and change this? To speak on this, I'm joined now by Dr. Aviral Mathur, President of FORDA, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairperson of the Nephron Clinic, joining us today on the show. Dr. Dilip Malvankar, Director, Indian Institute of Public Health, is joining us today. And I'm speaking with Dr. Ishwar Gilada, Secretary General of the Organized Medicine Academic Guild. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us today. Let me speak first with Dr. Mathur. FORDA was one of the associations that was very strongly speaking against this. It has been withdrawn. Do you think some of it is because of the voices you raised? And what really was the reason that this circular was in place?
So, hi, good evening. Thank you for having me here today. See, we appreciate the steps that have been taken by the AIIMS administration regarding this, and we welcome this move. We are thankful also to your esteemed channel for providing us with a platform for a bigger outreach and helping us echo with the masses of this country. We don't view it as a perfect, delineated victory or defeat. What we view it as, what you rightly said, that the better sense has prevailed. So we do recognize the problems at hand here. We do recognize that, there are some people for whom the system has to be fast-tracked in certain areas. But we just demand that, leave health out of it. Or if you cannot at all, then, you find ways, options, which, where the...
No, but
the
Dr. Aviral, can you explain to us, for all of our viewers, why they needed to do this in the first place? Why this round-the-clock nodal officer only for MPs? Why this VIP treatment? Where has the need come from?
So that is something which is beyond our comprehension as well. Because, we were trying to figure out the very basic fabric, as in, we had access to the AIIMS constitution. When the foundation was laid, there is a constitution which the institute follows. And in that constitution, there is some special, mention of, them treating the central government employees or the higher strata of the ministry. But, taking it to this extent for something which, really we couldn't comprehend. We could not understand that why, they are building on the existing platform wherein the treatment protocols were already in place. See, there was no difficulty for any, parliamentarian or a very higher up personality to, get admitted in AIIMS. Dr. Manmohan Singh, for example, n number of examples they have
I mean,
in recent past.
of all the categories of people who require special treatment, one would think MPs are definitely not in that list. Which hospital or which situation has anyone heard where an MP is not getting admission in a hospital when they require, not getting the treatment they want? Dr. Bagai,
Sure.
I'm using this opportunity because this order has been withdrawn. But in my view, the story is not over. Because this is an opportunity to talk about the non-circular VIP treatment that prevails. The VIP treatment is still there. They've just withdrawn the circular.
Good evening. So just to summarize, I think we should never be discriminatory in treating any patient, be it on socioeconomic strata, the professional background of patients, on caste, color, religion, or from geographic background. I think we have to be patient-centric, and the need of the patient and the criticality of the patient decides the emergency availability of doctors to them. When you look at this, this circular was a much avoidable controversy, and I can't fathom the life out of me as to why it was even written in the first place. It goes against the basic ethos of us being doctors for so many decades and treating patients who are sick, in need. And we need to be empathetic, we need to be compassionate, but not classifying patients according to the socioeconomic group. There should be no special privileges, no entitlement, no shortcuts, and there is no inheritance of healthcare. I think the government itself has led by example from Mr. Modi, and I'm a strong supporter of him very clearly and openly. And he's against this VIP culture, so I do not know why this was actually written. And in the end, I would just like to
but Dr. Bagai, my question to you is, ki theek hai, AIIMS did this, gaffe, then they reversed it. But let's talk in real terms. Does a VIP culture not actually exist? You know, and if you tell me honestly today, do you not very often get calls from influential people to fast-track treatment?
All the time. This VIP culture is inherent in our society, in our DNA, and I loathe it. I completely detest it. All patients will come. If the patient is sick, I will see the patient out of turn. I will see the patient outside working hours. I will see the patient on holidays. I will see a small child or a sick infant even in the middle of the night, irrespective of which class the patient belongs to. That is what I have been trained for. The financial remunerations are a byproduct of any clean, ethical flow of practice. So I firmly believe that this kind of culture will destroy Indian healthcare. I think the patients should come according to the need of their clinical symptoms, not according to where they stay, what they do, and what profile they hold. Profiling of patients should only be on clinical backgrounds, period.
So, Dr. Ishwar Gilada, give us some perspective of why you think AIIMS did it, and will withdrawing this circular truly be enough? Because here, the larger point that we're trying to understand is how there are some for whom everything becomes easier, right from a consultation to an admission to getting that hospital bed. Isn't it a fact that sifarish is what works even in medical treatment?
See, I would like to answer your second question first. It is admirable that the circular is withdrawn within 24 hours. So I think we must appreciate, because usually in government, whatever criticism is there, they are least bothered. If they want to do it, they will do it. But good that wiser counsel prevailed and the circular is withdrawn. Why it was there in the first place? He is our colleague as a doctor. We don't know what was pressure on him. Why suo moto circular was issued? Was there any verbal demand from somewhere? We don't know. Secondly, what we always felt, that all these VVIPs, ministers, MPs, they should take treatment in public hospital so that they realize what are the lacunae in public hospital, and that we have been demanding for the last 30-40 years. So often they go to private hospital, somebody else may be paying for them or somebody may be reimbursing. But it's good thing that they will go to public hospital. But at the same time, they should live by an example. If a member of parliament or a minister standing in a queue, that person will get better attention than he is going off the queue. So I think they should lead by example. I remember one of our chief ministers in Maharashtra, Vasantdada Patil. Somebody approached him for a note for a doctor, and he said, "Tell me which doctor touched you." he was giving the name of a dean or head of the department. No, no. A resident doctor who touched you. And he sent a note to that resident doctor. He is from my native place, please look after. And that doctor was so touched that Chief Minister writes a letter to a resident doctor. So if at all you want to get attention, you get that way. Lastly, I would like to say there's something lacking, which is a doctor-patient relationship. And that is lacking everywhere. And therefore, a lot of patients would always want to have somebody else speak for them, get a note from them, get a recommendation from them. So I think we should break that chain. Like Dr. Bagai said, that we should be open with an open channel of communication with irrespective of caste, creed, race, and religion. Britishers left us with an eagle legacy, which we were always say, sir, sir, sir. That is the wrong culture.
No, but you know, all of you are renowned doctors and experienced doctors on this panel. Why does this happen? Doesn't the VIP treatment stem from the medical profession? Dr. Dilip, where is it coming from? It is in your hands, isn't it? To push back. Where is the pressure coming from?
As everybody said, we have still not understood the meaning of our constitution, which guarantees equality of everybody. We are still following what the British left the culture, and not only British, the Raj culture of our kings. We are still in that mentality. The other side of the story is that, as you said, there is so much of underinvestment. Why should there be queues? We have so many doctors available. We are not investing. In spite of the pandemic, you saw the health budgets have not gone up. In most of the states, and gone up, if it is at all, marginally. We thought that health budget would triple as a public health person. But nothing has happened. So in some sense, because there are queues, there is sifarish. If there is no queue, if everybody is seen within half an hour of arriving, if there is proper triage, if there are primary clinics in your neighborhood, you go to them, only then you are referred to the secondary clinic. And if secondary clinic doesn't manage you, then you go to a regular medical college. If that cannot manage you, then you go to AIIMS. AIIMS is a national institute. It should have equal access to people from Tamil Nadu, from Madras, from Bihar and everywhere, not only Delhi people. Somehow, because of lack of triage and lack of proper referral system, the AIIMS gets congested, or any medical college hospital gets congested. And when there is any congestion in an economy of scarcity, then this type of pressure or privilege, etc.,
Seeking, absolutely. Rent seeking begins because MPs probably think that they deserve better than everybody else. But is that what the purpose of AIIMS is? Just to treat the most important people. Dr. Mathur, I want you to come in on this. You're a young medical professional. You fought against what AIIMS had done. But what is the practice in reality? Today I'm asking the question that will withdrawing the circular actually change the ground reality?
So, see, basically, but the thing is that VIP culture is fundamentally wrong. You know, if you look at it principally, you know, anywhere in the world, even in the resource-rich world, you know, like US or some European countries which have greater access to healthcare, you know, this is fundamentally wrong even there. So from what we believe is that, you know, to discourage it, we'll have to begin at the grassroots level. We'll have to begin at the PHCs. We'll have to begin at the CHCs. And I believe that, you know, many doctors try to do that. But, you know, lo and behold, there are pressures around. Sometimes people succumb to it. But, you know, policy making is something which is lopsided here. Of course, you know, not treating people whose, you know, time could matter in a way that they could, you know, perform otherwise. Getting them fast-tracked is something which, you know, the policy should do.
Have you faced it, Dr. Mathur? Have you faced pressure to treat people differently because of who they are?
Honestly, there have been some pressures sometimes.
Yeah.
But I work in an institute.
I think we should be honest. I think we should be honest if we really want to make change. If we want to come here and just give platitudes, then that's fine. But I have 4 great doctors with me. I'm going to ask honest questions. And I hope you will honestly answer. Because, you know, if you're going to understand where the VIP treatment starts from, it's a reality, isn't it? Tell me, Dr. Mathur, what you have faced.
So honestly, yes, ours is a government institute, and there are sometimes, people who come with reference from, say, higher ups in the government, or even some higher ups in the other major hospitals, some doctors itself, doctors themselves refer some patients. But, as we do it here, sometimes I'll tell you, this is just in a lighter mood. दैट हमारे यहाँ जब भी कोई मरीज आता है तो हम उससे कहते हैं कि अच्छा ये वीआईपी मरीज है, ये किसी का पर्चा लेके आया है, इसको लाइन में सबसे पीछे लगा दो, इसको सबसे तसल्ली से देखा जाएगा. So that is what we do. That is our way of doing it, so that the patient doesn't feel bad, and rest of the patients don't suffer at the time and the cost of them bypassing the entire line. So, but I understand that it is something which every doctor faces or must have faced in their work culture somewhere, anywhere, I don't know, at any level. But, this is something which people will have to devise ways against or across it, find new ways to deal with it. And of course, new policy iterations which will benefit the VIP people and the general public at large in an equal manner. See, health is something which is a very fragile and a delicate ecosystem in this country, and it is trying to recuperate every year. So let us leave health out of it.
Let's leave health out of it, but when we had a true test, what happened? We've just seen what happened in COVID. We've all seen what happened in COVID. Kisko cylinder mile, kisko nahi mile. Kisko bed mila, kisko nahi mila. How some people, even without major symptoms, could corner hospital beds, while those with serious symptoms could not. I want to understand what are the repercussions if doctors push back. Dr. Gilada, if a doctor in a large institute, and I'm not naming any institute, pushes back and says, I will not bypass my patients because someone is VIP, what happens? Are there repercussions?
There are repercussions. If you are working in government, there are backlashes, there are transfers. If you are in private, there are some kind of scuffles. There are people who are usually VVIPs are accompanied by security. So there's a security risk to a lot of other patients and doctors. And because of security also, they get automatically VIP, like, sabai. And then security will take them out. So that happens. But what I used to do when I was in government service, that whenever such VIPs used to come, I used to say, sir, आप ये टाइम में क्यों आए? मैं आपको चाय भी नहीं पिला सकता, मैं आपसे अच्छी बात भी नहीं कर सकता हूँ. आप थोड़ा 12:30 बजे आते, तब ओपीडी खत्म हो जाती. But that way we had to scuttle. But anyway, we are in the system, we are working in the government system, and in a country like India, it is the survival of the richest, for others die early is the best. And that is a formula we have seen all along. So we need to change that culture. And that has to be a patient getting priority based on severity of the disease, based on what kind of the urgency is required for the disease management, not because somebody is VIP or somebody is accompanied by somebody.
The hard fact is that most Indians are dependent on private medical care, not so much on government medical care. But there also, that's a equalizing factor. Dr. Dilip, I'm asking all the doctors about their experiences pushing back or facing the demand for VVIP treatment. Please tell us your story.
I don't work in a hospital. I'm an academic teaching institute and look after public health. So it is a fundamental public health issue. I don't have personal experiences. I have hearsay experiences. But there are solutions. For example, the American president goes to the army hospital. He doesn't go to the public hospital. So in Delhi, there are army hospitals, and they are less congested. So instead of sending these VIPs to the congested hospitals, one could have a separate hospital if really we want to have the VIP. Because the way AIIMS is structured, so many thousands of people come without any reference, without any people stand in queue from the previous night or 6 a.m. to get entry. This is, I call it a fish market medicine. It is not a systematic health system. It is, if you are really sick, how do you stand in a queue?
Exactly.
So my sense is we have to really relook at our all health system. And this is, AIIMS is just the name. In any public medical college you go in any big city, it's the same 1,000 patients, 3,000 patients land up in a day. And there are 50 doctors, 20 doctors. We also don't have a standard time for each doctor to see one patient. In British system, they take at least 10 minutes. A general practitioner takes, consultant may take half an hour to see a patient. So he sees 2 patients in an hour. We don't have such standards. So we need to really relook at our whole system, and this is a good opportunity to relook that what is our referral system, how do we, of course, some people will demand special care, those who are more sick, and some people who are wealthy or some people who are privileged. And in our whole system, we have to see what best can be done in this kind of a situation.
So you think it's okay? Is it okay to get special care if you're privileged?
In our society, that is the practical. It is not okay in a democratic constitutional society, but the way our culture is, it is very difficult to change. So we should, the main principle should be that the poor people shouldn't be suffering. Like the VIP stopping the traffic.
Yes.
So the people died on the road because VIP, the traffic was stopped. The same thing, VIP has to go.
Dr. Bagai, what are the solutions here? Or is it simply, you know, it's a system, we have to live with it, and then individual doctors have to find excuses. Come later, आपको चाय पिलाएंगे, या आप रुकिए, आपको फुर्सत से देखेंगे. You know, it's not fair. It can't be on the doctor to mete out fair treatment or face repercussions if they don't.
So few quick points. I think it's a mindset change which is required in the Indian society. People who are born in rich families, unfortunately, carry a tag of being privileged and entitled. Now, in healthcare, very often that is a huge source of a problem. I remember one of the patients in private practice, that is, came to my reception and said that I'll pay extra if the Dr. Bagai can see my child first.
Oh,
so I sent a message back to the receptionist saying, I'll see them last and I'll see them free. So the patient walked away. So you come across incidents like this. But having said that, in spite of all the lacunas, I think Indian healthcare system is still very robust. Yes, there is lots and lots of work to be done in tier 2, tier 3 cities, proper management of more number of doctors, more specialists going down into non-metro areas and so on. But I think COVID has been a rather rude and unprecedented wake-up call for the globe, including India. And I think now the beds are being added, more number of medical seats are being created, more than about 40 or 45% increase in the last 6 to 7 years. So there is good work being done, and I want to compliment the government for that. But I think the government itself should lead by example. The member parliament should lead by example and wait in the line, wait in the queue. Everyone will get a turn. The doctors, unfortunately, become a flogging common denominator horse for all the ills and wrongs of the society. And that we faced during COVID. It has been extremely tough, traumatic. Even at a personal level, a lot of us have lost very close, near and dear ones and family members. So I think the society needs to work with us. There are very few doctors which are readily available for emergencies. So I think we need to protect the Indian healthcare, make it more just, more fair, more accessible, more personal, and technology-driven. Now with the digital healthcare, a lot of things are happening online through telemedicine. So I think there is work in progress, but I still would feel that Indian healthcare has stood up much taller than almost all other Western countries, which are more powerful, more wealthy, 5 times more in infrastructure and healthcare, 1/5 of the Indian population, but still we've done well.
No, we've done well. Are we doing well for everyone equally? Today, that's the question. Are we doing better for some rather than others? Is it fair to live in a world where someone doesn't get attention because they're not connected or that they're poor? Dr. Kelada, where do you think the solutions are? Dr. Dilip talked about triage, where first you reduce the line so that no one wants to cut them. But is that feasible?
Yeah, is it feasible? Because when you talk about tertiary institute, nobody should go there just for diagnosis. Those which are diagnosed, they need to be managed. So primary care, secondary care, that has to be there. Secondly, for all this kind of VIP culture or paid patients, Rajasthan started a system where afternoon OPD is for paid patients. In the same premises, they charge money and then the patients are seen. So VIPs or people want to pay, they can go in the OPD. Tata Hospital, I said yesterday also, they have two good examples. One is a second opinion. You can take online second opinion. You can take in-person second opinion. And second opinion is 3-4 doctors as a joint consultation. They charge one fee, but 4 doctors are consulting. So by that way, you reduce that kind of pressure. And there's a paid OPD and there's a pre-OPD in Tata Hospital. So patients has a choice to pay, and when they cannot switch from here to there. Once you are paid, you are always paid in surgery, in hospitalization and everything. So if these are some of the solutions which can be done. But basically, our referral system has to be very robust. And telemedicine, what happened during the COVID, medical council said telemedicine is okay. Before that, it was not okay. Now also it is not okay. So telemedicine, again, you cannot give prescription. So I think our system should be robust. Once we decide that telemedicine can work, you can have all e-signature, etc. But it can work. You cannot say that it is not okay, it is illegal to have a telemedicine.
So it's on the system, it's on the doctors to push back VIP requests. And frankly, dear VIPs, don't try to cut the line. If you have an emergency, and I hope all VIPs also have good health like everyone else, go to the nearest emergency room like the ordinary Indian citizen. It's not fair. It's not fair to try and nudge your way to the top of the line. I'll wrap this here.
Tamanna, the street light shines the same for everyone, including the elite. That is what we believe.
Absolutely. I'll wrap it here. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on this conversation today. We'll take a very short break on Beyond the Headline, but don't go away. We have a special show lined up for you on the other side. As we're going into a festive weekend, we did a ground check to see the pulse of the Indian consumer. 2 years after COVID, there are no restrictions, everyone's out to spend, but is inflation keeping them back, or are people ready to open up their wallets? I'm coming back with that special show after a very short break. Stay tuned.